Hi, I'm Holly Pike. If you'd like a trial of the Generation software that I use for digitizing, please visit trygenerations.com. This video is a recording of a live video I did for my previous students. You may hear references to You Can Digitize or YCD. That's my old website that is now closed. My new website is digitizingschool.com. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. There's two satin tools, a side-by-side satin tool and a side-to-side satin tool. They work differently and have express purposes. When I was learning to digitize, the satin tool was very difficult for me. I couldn't figure out how to make it work, and I took a class with a good friend who gave me a great tip on how to make this tool work. I have a tried and true method that I'm going to show you, and you'll be great at the satin tool. It will take you some time and some practice, but you'll be able to do it. Let's get to it. Okay, here we go. The satin tool. The side-by-side satin tool. Come down one side. Come down the other side in exactly the same direction. If you go opposite directions, bad things will happen. You draw your lines across for the stitch angle. At this point you hit enter, at this point you hit enter, and after you draw these lines you hit enter, and it generates your stitch. It's a little different, well it's a lot different than the side-by-side satin tool. Let me show you. I'm going to pick the side-by-side satin tool. Left click, hit enter. Left click, hit enter. So nothing has happened yet, but I have my lines. Now I'm going to draw my lines across. These are my stitch angle lines. When I'm done, I'll hit enter, and there's my satin. Now you'll notice I have a line down the center, and this is a good thing that I'm showing you this because this line down the center means that this is too wide for a satin stitch. Now if you remember back to the earlier lessons, my squares, my grid is set to 12.5 millimeters. Well, a satin for our machines can only go about 9 millimeters. So we need to make that smaller. To do that, I'm going to left click on it. I'm going to take this arrow and drag it together and generate. And notice the line down the center goes away. Why? It goes away because it is now less than or at 9 millimeters. If you hit the R on your keyboard, you can left click and drag across and see what something measures. So this is about 8 millimeters, which is perfect for a satin stitch, a satin column. That's the side-by-side satin tool. So let's bring in some artwork and see how that works. I'm going to go to Insert Image, choose this piece of artwork, and click OK. Image as template, we've done this several times today already, and say OK. The size is fine. It's about 84 or 85 by 70. That's fine. I'm going to say OK. If you want it darker, you can hold the Shift key down and make it darker. For our purposes here today, this is fine. I'm going to make this about 200 in the zoom because I want you to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. I'll take my side-by-side tool. I'm going to start right here with it. Remember we did the heart for the red work? Same concept. I'm going to start with a left click, work my way around with right clicks. Does not have to be perfect. Does not have to be perfect. When I get here, I'll hit enter. Now if I go this way, there's going to be a mess. So let's just go that way and let me show you what happens when you go the wrong way. This is the wrong way. Okay, let me say that again in I don't know, Sudanese. This is the wrong way. I'm going to put my stitch angle lines in. Notice what's happening. It's not letting me put my stitch angle lines in because I went the wrong way. Now if I hit enter, I get a mess. That's the wrong way. I want you to understand the wrong way. Now let's do it the right way. Side-by-side satin tool. Left click. Always start with a left click. when you're doing anything. It grounds you. Put your last left click right on top of the first one. Hit enter. Now I'm going to go the right way, following the same path I did the last time. Same exact path. Enter. Now I'm going to put my stitch angles in. Now I'll see what happens. And I'm just going to curve that satin stitch around until it just beautifully curves. And it'll wrap around here just so beautifully. Oops. That's okay, we can change it. When you get done, hit enter, and you have a beautiful satin stitch. Okay, so what if I don't like how the stitch angles look? Like maybe right here I don't like it. That's okay, it's all editable. That's one thing I just love about the software. I'm going to go right here to the one next to the view outline icon is view angle. And I'm going to see all my little angle guys here. We see this one I don't really care for that much. So I'm going to hover over the green dot and my cursor changes and I can drag that right to where I want it. I can just drag these to where I want them to make them perfect. Well, what if I don't want this one right here? Maybe I don't need that one. I'm just going to left click on it and it turns red and hit delete. And I can take that stitch angle right out, like this one here. Just take it out. Maybe I don't need it. I'll generate my stitches. And there we have it, a beautiful side-by-side satin stitch. I use the side-by-side satin stitch for odd shapes, unusual odd shapes that just are kind of clumsy to use the side-to-side satin stitch. So that's your side-to-side or side-by-side satin stitch. Let's do it again together and see how it goes for you. I'm going to delete mine and delete this and start right here. Let's just make a satin column. Very simple. 2 lines, okay? Let's take our side-by-side satin tool, do a left click, and come down a few squares and do a left click. And hit enter. Okay, then come back up to the top and about halfway between the square, make a left click and a left click. And hit enter. Now we've got our 2 lines that defines the side-by-side satin. Now you're going to start outside just like we did with divide with a line and divide with a curve. And you're going to left click, hold, and drag a line across the column to tell it what angle the stitches should be. When you're finished, hit enter. And you should have a very pretty satin stitch on your screen. If it's too far and you have those lines down the center, that's okay. Escape, right click outside your design, left click on it so you get these size things. If yours is like this and you've got this line down here, no problem. Just grab that resize box and squeeze it up and generate your stitches. Any questions? Okay, let's put that on the side. I don't know how I got all the way over there, but okay. Okay, I'm going to put this on the side now. Now we're going to bring in that piece of artwork. We're going to go to Insert Artwork. We've done this several times today. Choose this one, this heart. Image as template. and OK. The size is OK. So we'll say OK. If you want the artwork darker, you can now use Shift and plus and make it darker. Okie doke. Now we're going to bring this up to 200 should do it, just for the purpose of the class. Take our SideBYSide satin tool, which is the second one above the line tool that you've already used. Start with a left click, work your way around. Left click on the point. When you get back to the original spot, left click and enter. Start on the second side, go the same direction, otherwise you'll get a mess. Left click down at the point. Keep your point nice and sharp. Left click, enter. Okay, after you get this done, then you're going to add your stitch angles. Start outside and drag a line across in the direction that you want your stitches to go. Remember, the satin stitch wraps, so you want to just kind of have a gradual turning of that satin stitch. Oops, keep doing that. When you're done, enter. Then escape, right click outside to drop your tool. And there's your pretty heart. This ends the Satin SideBYSide module.